Hi everyone, welcome to today's session on digital wallet security. Before we begin, we're having this discussion with the folks over at Ledger. I want to acknowledge that there's a lot happening in the world at the moment, and to pass on the best wishes from everyone in the team and the university to all of you, particularly those of you directly affected. In this course, we also have a session on geopolitics, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of interesting discussions about recent events there. Today, however, we are dealing with digital wallet security. And to this end, we have partnered with Ledger, who is sponsoring two sessions in this course, today's session and week 9 on digital ownership. We have worked together with Ledger on course material, and they're also providing digital wallets or signers to top performers and other students. And as part of this collaboration, I'm sure you can all see that we're joined by Charles, who is the CTO of Ledger and who will be helping us address your questions. Charles, it is a great pleasure to meet you and to work with you, as well as with Ledger. And could you please, can I ask you to introduce yourself and also introduce the work you do at Ledger, and perhaps even Ledger for some students who might not be familiar with it, although I do not expect too many of them to not be familiar with Ledger.
Yes, sure. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for having me. So my name is Charles QnA. I'm CTO at Ledger. My background is cryptography and security. Those are topics I'm interested in since I'm 12. When I was 12, I got my first computer. And the first thing I did was to try to understand how these things work. And I did a lot of hacking for fun, mostly, a little bit for profit, but mostly for fun, to be honest. After that, I studied pure mathematics, computer science, and finally cryptography. And I spent my whole career in between security, hardware security, cryptography, applied to different fields. Just before Ledger, I was heading a security evaluation lab, and we were doing security evaluation for different things, mostly hardware, not only hardware, for the banking industry, also the identity industry, with passport security evaluation, this kind of thing. And I joined Ledger in 2017. To be honest, the first time I heard about Bitcoin was in 2011. So at the very beginning of Bitcoin, a friend of mine was mining with his own computer. That was possible at the time, and one block reward was 50 Bitcoin. And he was talking about Bitcoin. Yeah, that was the good times. So I studied the Bitcoin protocol and everything, and I thought that was really an amazing invention. But I didn't really get the point, and this is really what I said to my friend. Your Bitcoin thing is really interesting, but I think there was no chance this thing to be adopted anytime soon. So I was very wrong. And in 2017, when I joined Ledger, I started to understand why. You mentioned a geopolitical lecture, and I think Bitcoin is also interesting because of this aspect. So again, joined Ledger in 2017. At the time, I created what we call today the Dungeon, the security research team. And then I created another security certification team, and I became CTO in 2019. Since then, the company grew a lot. Today, I think we are around 600 people in the company, and around half of it working in tech and product. For those who don't know Ledger, Ledger is the leader when it comes to wallet security. Ledger is very well known for the hardware signer. We used to call them hardware wallet, but hardware signer is a better name. And the idea is because when you own Bitcoin, what you actually own is a private key, and then you will prove ownership over your Bitcoin by a signing transaction. And doing so, you really don't want to lose this key, and you don't want an attacker to get an access to this key. So protecting this key is paramount. So that's why we have created like there's a secure hardware signer, and I can show one of them. This is the Ledger Flex. And the idea is to generate your secret within this device. And then as soon as you want to make a transaction, you are going to use this device so that your keys stay offline and an attacker cannot get access to these keys. So historically, like Ledger was only like doing business with like selling this hardware signer. And with the time passing, we created like a software that comes with this hardware signer, which is called Ledger Wallet. It allows you like to manage your crypto, like send, receive, stake, buy, sell, swap, have a credit card. So we have integrated plenty of blockchain and plenty of services. And it's more and more a part of the business because like we have like a rev share agreement with this services provider. And also, there is another part of the business that's a little less known, which is like Ledger Enterprise Services. So we are also like selling a security platform for like a corporation, organization, like a group of people that own crypto. And they want to do like to own this crypto securely, but also they want to have like governance. They want to avoid like one person in the organization to have full access to all the coins. Like that would be a security issue, but also a compliance and governance issue. And in order to avoid that, we have created a platform that allows the DES company to create the governance. And for instance, they can say like there's this group of people can access to DES wallet. They can send transaction only to their whitelisted list of addresses. And if they want to do like other transaction, then they will need to gather like 3 approvals out of 5. One of them must be the CFO. Like this kind of governance is possible with Ledger and enterprise services. So in a nutshell, this is what Ledger is and who I am.
Thanks for this great overview. Again, as you said, you have a very long tenure in cryptography, in secure hardware. Ledger has been around for more than 15 years at this point. And I mean, other members of the teams are going to ask questions, but I have the privilege of asking you the first one. From your perspective, if you could give us an overview of what has changed the most in the wallet security landscape over your tenure in Ledger in the past decade, let's say, in particular. There have been lots of advancements. So briefly, if you could point to a few things that have changed the most, since I know, for instance, Professor Yaglis, we always have discussions, and he said that he used to assign transactions with a stack of private keys next to him and manually code transactions, Bitcoin transactions. So what's your view? What has changed in the last 10 years?
This example is really good. Like I think what really changed is the user experience. Like at the very beginning of Bitcoin and crypto in general, that was really for geeks, like for nerds, like people who knows cryptography, who knows how a blockchain work, and this is for a reason. They created the technology, and the early adopter like were very like precise and knowledgeable when it comes to the technology. And with the time going on, then like companies like such as Ledger, but also others, like improve the user experience, and this allowed like newcomers to enter into the space, and they don't need to be like so tech savvy. And this is really what changed over time. At the beginning, you really needed to be tech savvy, and today it's really less necessary. And crypto is for everyone, and it was made possible thanks to like different companies such as Ledger, which really made the user experience far more easier.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. I mean, it makes sense that the profile of your customer and of the crypto user has changed since the early days. Back in the day, it was driven by early adopters and technologists. Now it is more mainstream. And to that point, I wanted to ask you, recently you introduced, for instance, Ledger Recover, which is one of those features that from my perspective, really caters to users that might be newer, that might want more convenience. And on that, I wanted to ask you again if you could describe what Ledger Recover is, on even how it works in practice, and if there are any trust assumptions that users are implicitly accepting here. And the reason I'm asking this question is because we're really focusing on, self-sovereignty in crypto, censorship resistance, and so on. And I know this is a discussion that our students would be very interested in hearing from your perspective.
Yeah, sure. This one is a very good one. So again, back to the user experience. When you are a newcomer in crypto, as I mentioned, like you will generate your master secret, like your 24 words, the seed, and for most newcomers, like if you're tech savvy, you are already aware of this 24 words, it might not be a big deal for you. But when I explained to my mother, like she need to initialize her device, and then there's 24 words appear. And she's like, what do I do with this 24 words? Like it's a question because it's completely new and so on. And then you have to manage this secret, and you have to have a backup strategy for the secret, because we are selling these devices. These devices are great for securing the secret, using them when you want to sign transaction. But you also need a backup, because this device might be lost. You might forget your PIN. You might put it in your pants and put it in the washing machine, and it doesn't work anymore. And then if you don't have a backup, that means that you lose everything. So having a backup is really, really important. And in order to have a backup, you have different ways. The first thing you must not do is to save your backup on your computer. If you do that, you will lose your crypto for sure, because more and more what we see in the malware that are online these days, they all include like a small package that are looking for 24 words that might be stored in your computer. And at a point or another, you will have malware on your computer, and this malware will search for these 24 words. I say computer, this is the same thing for a phone. So never ever write down your 24 words on a digital form on your computer. Never send an email with your 24 words. Never take a picture of these 24 words. We have seen some Android application. Sometimes you install an Android application, and this application requests for rights to read your photos. And technically speaking, this application can watch every single photo you have. And if you have a photo of your 24 words, this application can see those photos. And this is something that we have seen also in the past. Like there are some Android application that seems regular, but actually what they do is to watch for your photos and search for 24 words that could have been taken into photos in your Android phone. So again, never do a backup in a digital form because otherwise you will lose your crypto. So
Very wise advice. Very wise advice.
Yeah, back to the problem. Now you have to create a backup strategy for your 24 words. So what we offer at Ledger is we have three main solutions. The first one is just to write down your 24 words on a piece of paper. It's pretty simple, very efficient. Then you might want to have multiple sheet of paper, put them in a different secure location, and so on. It works. Also, what you have to think about is what happens if my house gets fire, for instance. So you have to think about this kind of things. But there is this strategy. Also, we are selling a piece of metal that's called a crypto steel. And the idea is to do the exact same thing, but instead of writing down your 24 words on a sheet of paper, what you are doing the same with a metal plate, which makes things fire resistant. So this is another option. And we have like two other options. One is the ledger recovery key. The ledger recovery key is an NFC card. I don't have mine with me right now, but it's an NFC card, and you will tap it on the back of the Ledger Flex or Ledger Stacks or the Gen 5. It's only available with newer devices because it requires like an NFC interface. And it will create a backup from the Flex to the Ledger recovery key. And there is a pin for the NFC card and so on. And then you can like store it wherever you want. And as soon as you want to recover access to your wallet, you just have to tap back, input your pin, and then the 24 hours will be sent back to your device. You can have multiple versions of them. Also, there is something interesting that you can do if you have like multiple seeds for like multiple different wallets, different application. Then you can have like multiple cards, and then you can swap from one wallet to another like very quickly with these cards. Another interesting application is the following: like if you want to have like an inheritance strategy, you can use this recovery key card. The following, like you create like 3 of them, for instance. One of them is for you. The 2 others are for your heirs. You give them to your children. You have 2 children, but you don't give the pin to your children, and you write down the pin on your will at the notary, so that the day you die, your children can access to your wallet back. So just like it's yet another like way to use Ledger recovery key. And we have Ledger Recover, which is the last option that we offer for this backup strategy. And the idea is to bind your identity with the access of your 24 words. And the idea is to create a backup that you will be able to unlock by proving that you are yourself. And the thing is, we don't want to be custodian. Like we don't want to know your 24 words, because otherwise it's pretty simple. Like you just send us your 24 words, we verify your identity, and we send you back your 24 words. But we didn't want to do that for various reasons. First of all, in terms of like regulation, it would make us custodian, which is something that we don't really want. We are not a bank, we are a technology provider. And secondly, we really think like self-sovereignty is important, and we really want to empower our users to be sovereign, and we don't want to be sovereign on their behalf, basically. So we created this service such that no one except you can access to your fund and to your 24 hours. And the way it works is the following. So there was some magic. The idea is to, as soon as you initiate a Ledger Recover backup operation, what you are doing is the following: you are proving that you are yourself, and then inside the device, so on the device, you will be prompted like, do you want to initiate this recover backup operation? You will say yes, and then your seed will be sharded into 3 different shards that will be like encrypted. And these shards are such that it's like 2 out of 3. Like for people who are familiar with Shamir secret sharing, it's a variation of Shamir secret sharing, a 2 out of 3, meaning that if you have only 1 shard, you have absolutely no information about the secret. But if you have 2 of the 3 shards, you can recombine the full secret with these 2 shards. So an attacker with 1 shard cannot do anything. If you are able to recombine this 2 of these 2 shards, you are able to recombine the full secret. So again, inside the device, we're sharding the secret into 3 shards, and we are sending these shards over a secure channel to 3 different companies. One company is Ledger, another is Escrotech, and the last one is CoinCover. There's 3 companies are independent. They are like located in different jurisdiction, which could prevent like a subpoena type of like threat, let's say. And all these actors will save this encrypted backup within HSM. HSM stands for Hardware Security Module. Basically, it's a piece of hardware that you put in your data center, and it's a big vault and even a ledger cannot access what's inside this HSM. Everything is encrypted. With one shard, you cannot do anything, and it's stored inside a HSM. And then you have a backup. As a user, you can use your device exactly the way you want. You are completely self-sovereign. You don't need anyone to approve your transaction. You are on your own. And if ever you lose your backup, you lose your device, and you need to recover access to your wallet, the only thing you have to do is to prove you are yourself, and then the system will send back the shard to your device, recombine them in order to recreate the secret and give you back access to your wallets. So that was a little bit long, but I wanted to explain the full thing.
No, it does make sense, and it's good to hear that it is a variation of the Samir secret setting, which is also part of our course material for students. So please, students, read up on that if you want more information. I think I have monopolized you for long enough. We have some questions from other members of the team and some other student questions as well. I'm looking at Apostolos now if there is anything that he wants to ask, at Professor Yaglis, at Andreas. I think Apostolos are muted, so yeah.
Thank you, Charles. So very interesting information. Before I ask my questions, I hope everyone in this session is well and safe. So I have a few questions, and most of them are motivated by the discussions we had last week on Ethereum, and particularly its future. So I have some questions about the future of wallets. And I appreciate that given the pace of change we observe, not only in the world of technology, but in the world of in general. So any predictions that we make today risk being obsolete very soon. So I understand the challenge, but I'm still going to go ahead and ask my question. So if we think of 10 years ahead, so do you see hardware wallets as they are today still be relevant, or do you see them change to something else? So what is your view?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Difficult to predict the future, as always. I think the blockchain ecosystem is going in different direction. There is something that is really interesting that is happening today, is that the traditional finance is using blockchain as a backend, just because it's so much more efficient, like faster, cheaper, and so on. And they are leveraging blockchain quite a lot. And I think in the near future, traditional finance will use blockchain at scale, just because it's more efficient than what they currently have. So this is happening, and there is no doubt about that. But in this setup, as a user, you are not directly interacting with the blockchain. You are just using your Revolut app or whatever app, finance app you have, and you are not even aware there is a wallet somewhere. Maybe the wallet is in your phone, maybe it's just on the back end, but all of this is hidden from you. So this is something that is happening today, and we will see this development in the near future. So that's also why Ledger has a B2B offering for this kind of use case. On the other side, you also have people who cares about self-custody. And for me, this is really the reason why Bitcoin is so valuable, because with Bitcoin, Bitcoin is permissionless money. When you own Bitcoin, no one can prevent you to own your value, and no one can prevent you to spend, to do transaction. And this is made possible thanks to two things. On one side, you have the decentralized consensus of the blockchain that cannot prevent you to transact. And on the other side, you have self-custody. And when you are a user, you own your secret, and then no one can prevent you the right to own your value. And in a world where the geopolitics can be complicated and so on, where trusting fiat can be challenging, anyone can do his own research and choices. There was no, I'm not promoting anything, but having a way to completely own your value, like without any intermediary, is something that is very valuable. And this is the reason why like Bitcoin is valued like 72,000 and that probably more in the future. And the fact that you own your crypto is part of the value proposition of Bitcoin. And when you own your crypto, that means that you own your secret. And owning a secret is challenging because you have to create something that makes the management of the secret very secure. And for now, the only way to do that properly is to have like secure hardware that is like isolated from like the internet, from a world where you can have like AI or any software that can run like freely. So that's the reason why we have created like a secure hardware, just to create like hardware boundaries where like a random software cannot like access. So I think like self-custody will continue to be very important in the ecosystem. Maybe there will be far more applications that are not in self-custody, but self-custody will stay valuable, especially for Bitcoin and the big crypto that we have today. And in this setup, like having a way to secure your secret is paramount. And as of today, secure hardware is the only way to have like this kind of strong security guarantees. Maybe in the next 10 years, we will find like other ways. You can like think of like a fully homomorphic encryption with ZK, like this kind of thing could help creating a secure enclave without hardware. But today, from a technology standpoint, we are very far from being able to create those. And today, like secure hardware is the only way to ensure self-custody in security.
Thank you, Charles. And a quick follow-up question. So you explained very well about the importance of the management of the secret and how important it is for security. So again, when it comes to the future, and it's hard today to talk about the future without using the word AI. So how do you see AI? Do you see it as something that can augment this management of security, that can support maybe future iterations of your products, or do you see it as a threat or both? So what are your views?
So I think AI is a threat and opportunity, like both at the same time. Probably a bigger opportunity than a threat, to be honest, and for various reasons. So first of all, like the obvious way to use AI, if you are like in technology, if you are a developer, like using AI today is like a no-brainer. Like it's so much faster. It helps you like to be very augmented and develop like faster than ever. So AI is a big opportunity to build product like faster with like better quality, with better observability, monitoring, better product, and so on. There is no debate on that, and we are seeing this like every single fast company like is like embracing AI in order to be even faster. Also, it creates like in terms of security, this is something that we are seeing today. These days, we are seeing a lot of things at the same time. On one side, you have like bad guys, like attackers, criminal organizations that are doing hacks online. They are heavily leveraging AI to do plenty of attacks. And so that means that it decreases the cost of doing attacks, which is an issue. But at the same time, like good guys have the same tools, and at the end, like security is a cat and mouse game. We all have the same tool, and you when you are doing defense, you always have to stay ahead. So this is what we are doing. We are improving our stack, we are improving our tools, and we are doing a lot of like security research using AI. Also, another important item that we have with AI. You remember, like maybe a couple of months ago, we were complaining about the fact that there are bots everywhere. You are not ready for what's going on. What is going to happen in the coming months? There will be bots everywhere And the thing is, it will be very difficult to distinguish bots slash agents or whatever from humans, because like agents AI is becoming like so efficient that it will be very difficult to distinguish human from bots. And this is where like cryptography can give guarantees. Like if before starting a communication between you and I, we are doing like a key exchange, and we have like cryptographic guarantees that we are communicating with each other, then I am sure that I'm not communicating with an AI pretending to be you. So having like a cryptographic way to distinguish humans from AI is something that will be increasingly important, and this is an area where we have a role to play, because our devices are great for like implementing cryptography, doing authentication, and so on. So you will be able to use your Ledger device to prove you are yourself, to prove you are humans, to different services and different and to your friends, basically. So this is something that is a big opportunity for us. And lastly, there is something that we see these days where like you would like to use an agent to like pay on your behalf, for instance, and the I would say like the native currency of the internet is on blockchain rails. There is no debate. Maybe it's Bitcoin, maybe it's USDC, but at the end, like the native currency of the blockchain of the internet is on blockchain rails. And what you would like to do is that your agent could use your wallet to spend money on your behalf, so that it can book like train tickets on your behalf. It can like trade Dogecoin or whatever coin on your behalf. So it seems to be very convenient, but at the same time, it comes with like security threats, because as soon as you are giving your credentials, your 24 hours to your agent, then the question of like how to make sure they are secure, if they are not anymore secured in my like hardware signer, it becomes a threat. So the idea that we are developing is based on what we have on Ledger Enterprise, is to use our governance framework so that you can give your agent like with a specific right, so that you are okay that your agent can spend like $10 a day. But if it wants to spend more than $10, then it will request your approval to buy your train ticket, and you will like approve this bigger purchase on your device. So this is what we are thinking of these days.
Excellent. So you think human in the loop is essential? I will go
Exactly.
ahead. Right.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, Charles. So that's all from me, Lambi.
I can see that Andreas is raising his hand.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I've been an AI agent all along. I'm entirely AI generated. Passing it on to Andreas now.
Thank you, Lambis, and thank you, Charles, for this great talk we have together, and this great presentation of what you're doing at Ledger. And I just want to say, uh, regarding this conversation, and since we also had some student questions regarding this, what do you think account abstraction from Ethereum will do? Uh, you know, towards automating wallets, making them more secure, and this in combination with, the rise of AI agents. What do you think the development is going to look like?
Yeah, this one is a very good one. So for those who are not familiar with account abstraction, so on blockchain, you have like two different ways to own your crypto value. The older version is the EOA, externally owned account. Basically, an account is a public key and a private key that proves ownership over the public key. And you essentially send money to the public key, to the address that match with the public key. And that's it. You can't really do much more than this. And you have like account abstraction that was introduced in the EVM world, let's say. And the idea is to create a smart contract, which is basically a program running on Ethereum. And instead of sending the coin to your address, you're sending the coin to the smart contract, to the program. And then you will define different spending rules for this contract. So what you can say, for instance, is the following. If I want to spend money from this smart contract, I want to do a multi-sig, meaning that I want me to sign, like the CFO of the company to sign, and the CEO maybe. And when we have these 3 signatures, then I can, like the program can spend money. But this is just an example. You can do like any kind of everything that can be programmed on chain can be put as spending rule for the smart contract. For instance, like for those who are familiar with post-quantum cryptography, for instance, what you can say is my smart contract can spend money only if there is a post-quantum crypto signature that can be verified at the program that is fed to this program. Doing so, what you have is essentially a smart wallet, a smart account, account abstraction that is post-quantum crypto ready. So this is just to say that account abstraction is like a very wide and it's the idea to create to make your wallet a program so that it can do like much more than just send and receive. So this is the idea, and I really think this is the future. The issue we have today is the adoption, because like EVM, Ethereum blockchain created this concept quite a long time ago. Then there has been like plenty of iteration with 4337 and like other like ERC. I won't get into all the details. And the problem is today that we have a lack of standardization, with too many standards, to be honest, and the lack of adoption, mostly because when you are using a wallet, the first thing you do is to create an EOA, and like this adoption of shifting the model from EOA to account abstraction takes time. But on the long run, there is no debate. Like EOA are very, very simple. It's great. It's on purpose. But in the near future, like every single wallet on modern blockchain will use account abstraction or something similar to account abstraction, which is not possible on Bitcoin, by the way. On Bitcoin, you don't have you don't have the same expressivity that you have on Ethereum, and you can create script, but they are very simple. And basically, what you can do is mostly like to do like multi-sig or time lock, but this is pretty much it. You can't do really much more than this. While on account abstraction on Ethereum, you can do like very complex setup with account abstraction.
Very nice. Thanks for this answer. I mean, I'm not sure if Professor Yarlis has a question for Charles.
Just one question, if I may. I mean, the session today is for our students. So if you allow me, I will wear my student hat for this question, in the sense that it's a genuine question. I don't know the answer to it, and I'm curious. And it stems from what you said earlier about user experience. You spoke at length about what Ledger is doing for the setup phase and restoring the wallet and everything. But this is like 1% of a user's lifetime experience with their wallet. The other 99% is everyday usage. And every time I use my wallet in a DeFi application or whatever, unless I'm doing something very simple like sending some value to another address or signing a message or something, the interface that I'm getting, not only from Ledger, from all hardware wallets today, is something that says, blind signing ahead. Are you sure that you want to proceed? Take the responsibility and tell me, my dear user, if you want to take the risk for proceeding for this transaction, because I cannot tell you what this transaction is all about. And then I'm getting all this gibberish that I say, which, I'm familiar with crypto and I can decipher some of it, not all of it every time, but I'm sure that an average user cannot. So the question is, I mean, software wallets have gone
to some length into solving this by simulating transactions and showing you the probable outcome of executing a forthcoming transaction. But in hardware wallets, I do not see this. And I wanted to ask, is there a technical reason for this? Are you working on improving the user experience in the everyday usage of the wallet?
Thank you very much for this question. So what you describe is blind signing, clear signing, and it comes back to the idea. So we have this device, and on this device inside there is a secure element, like a very secure chip, like the secrets are generated inside and the cryptography is inside, and there is a screen. And the screen is really important because on the screen you can verify what kind of transaction you are about to consent. And this is very important because otherwise, if you don't have a screen, if you have a malware on your computer that could swap your transaction, then you might think that you are sending like 0.001 Bitcoin to me, while you are signing a different transaction that is simply draining your wallet. So this is the reason why we have a screen. When it comes to understanding and what the device is doing. So inside the device, there is a Ledger operating system and different application. And what the Bitcoin application is doing when it receives like a Bitcoin transaction is to parse the content of the transaction and display you are sending 0.3 Bitcoin to this specific address. Do you consent, yes or not? When you are doing DeFi on EVM, then it's much more complex for the device to understand what the transaction is, because it's just a series of bytes, and the device is not connected to the internet. So it has no way to go on the website of Uniswap or Aave and understand what's the content of the transaction. So when it comes to doing simple transaction, everything is clear signed by default. So send, receive, staking, also like approving the delegation of your funds to another smart contract. All of this is clear signed by default. But when it comes to interacting with a random smart contract, then it becomes a little bit tricky. And the thing is, smart contract can be arbitrarily complex, and the device has no way to know what this smart contract is doing. So in order to solve this problem, we have created a standard, which is the ERC 7730. And this standard consists in creating the condition so that any wallet can parse a transaction. And the idea is pretty simple. What we do is to ask every single dApp to create a JSON file. And this JSON file basically describes how the smart contract is working. It will say, I have like 3 different methods. One is deposit, one is swap, one is whatever name of the method. And the name of and this method has like 3 different parameters. And the name of the parameter is like this one, and this one. The type of the parameters are like a date or amount or whatever. And you describe, like the dApp describe all these parameters in a JSON file. Also, it will provide like the offset where it will find the parameter 1, 2, and 3 in the raw transaction. So all of this is in the JSON file, and then this JSON file is verified by Ledger or any wallet. And what we will do is to sign this JSON file. And as soon as you are going to interact with Aave, then the raw transaction will be sent to the device along with this JSON file, so that the device can parse the transaction, because the JSON file essentially explain to the device which method you are interacting with, where are the parameters of the method, and so on, and it will display it properly. So this is standard that we have created, and now we are supporting like plenty of dApps that have created this JSON file. And we also have created another standard, another feature, which is like Web3 check on device. You were mentioning like transaction simulation. And this is something similar. Whenever you are interacting with a dApp, then the raw transaction will be sent to the device. but it will be also sent to like a transaction simulation provider, such as like Cyvers, Blockhead, and others, like companies that are specialized into assessing the risk for a given transaction. And then what you will see on device is the risk assessment for the transaction that you're about to sign. So with this setup, what you have is a risk assessment for your transaction plus clear signing, meaning that you are about to deposit this amount of token to have a contract. Are you happy with that, and so on? And all of this is clear sign on device. And now the thing is, the next problem is the distribution. Like meaning, if you are connecting your device to MetaMask or Wabi, you might not have this latest feature because they are not implemented by MetaMask and Wabi. If you want to benefit from this feature, you have today you have like two main ways. The first one is the ledger button. Like a few dApps have simply integrated a ledger button. So, for instance, if you go on 1inch, which is like one of the biggest swap aggregator, either you connect with MetaMask, Wabi, or your usual wallet, or you can click on Ledger. And if you do that, you will directly connect your device to 1inch, and you will benefit from all the feature I mentioned.
So this is live today. If I do 1inch direct connection to Ledger, I can do clear signing for 1inch transactions.
Exactly.
Excellent.
You will have
I didn't know that.
Clear signing plus transaction check. And there is another possibility if the button is not yet integrated within the dApp, because it depends on every single dApp. Then what you can do is to do wallet connect. So on one side you have Ledger Live, like Ledger Wallet. On the other side you have your dApp, and you connect them with Wallet Connect. And as soon as you are in the Ledger Wallet, you will be able to clear sign your transaction with the device. So we have created Ledger button in order to like avoid using Ledger Wallet in this context, but you can still doing it with Ledger Connect and with Wallet Connect and Ledger Wallet.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. I'm going to test it tonight.
Cool.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you very much, Professor and Charles. So in the interest of going over some of the student questions submitted, let's turn to that. I will ask Andreas to share his screen. We have prepared a list of student questions. And while Andreas is doing that, Charles, let me ask you, yes or no, thumbs up or thumbs down, social recovery. What do you feel about it? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
It's too simplistic. I think it's really interesting for some cases, but it doesn't solve the ledger, like the backup problem in all cases, because it's only on EVM, only on your smart account. So yeah, there are plenty of benefits, but it's not like a one solution for all the problems.
Okay, thanks for this answer. Andreas, could you please zoom in a little bit? So this is a list of questions that was submitted by students in our forum. So we'll go over them now, and you give us some answers here and there. There's quite a few, so we might skip over some. So what is a full node wallet? How are the private keys stored in such wallets?
Okay, so I will try to be fast, as there are so many questions. So back in the days, the wallet and the full node was the same thing. Like at the very beginning, Bitcoin was only Bitcoin Core, and you were installing Bitcoin Core so that you can validate the blockchain. And the wallet was integrated within Bitcoin Core. Like this is what I discovered in 2011 when I discovered Bitcoin. The user experience was terrible and so on. But this is how it worked before. Now, when you have a wallet, you don't really have to have a full node. Like Ledger is running the nodes for you, so that when you connect your device to Ledger Wallet, like all the full node are behind the scene, and you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, but you can still run your own node if you want to, which gives you much more flexibility, which is great. Second question so this question was from Hassan. And again, as a reminder to students, you can ask follow-up questions in the Q&A. Not sure how much time we're going to have to go over those, but please, if I see any relevant, I'll bring it up. What's the difference between a 12-word and a 24-word seed phrase? is the 24 world more secure, especially against a future quantum threat? And your opinion on whether we should start working on quantum resistant stuff on the wallet level?
So many questions. Between 12 words and 24 words, so brute forcing 12 words is not possible. Brute forcing 24 words is even less possible. So 12 words might be enough in terms of security, but the thing is, you are taking 12 words to generate, so 12 words is 128 bits of entropy, and you are generating a 256-bit master secret. So generally speaking, it's best practice to start with the same entropy at the beginning and at the end of the process, so that you have like a better understanding and security guarantee. 12 word can be good enough, but if you are strict about like the cryptography rules, it's better to use 24 words. That's what I would say. About post-quantum crypto, this one is a very good question, very interesting. So I think we are very far from having like a quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography, and it's not. I think this is like a fact of what we are seeing today. It's impossible to say like how long it will take. I started to hear about quantum computer maybe 25 years ago. And this is 25 years that I hear that in the next 5 years we will have such a quantum computer. So I'm kidding, obviously, but we are seeing progress, and now NIST is mandating to like move towards post-quantum crypto. And at the end, like, the cryptography is just a mathematical way to have trust into the security of the system. And as soon as we start to losing a little bit this trust, and I think this is the case because people are wondering like, what about a quantum computer? As soon as this trust is a little bit eroded, I think we should move towards PQC, because at the end we will have to. So let's do it earlier than later.
Very nice. So Paul asks about custodial versus non-custodial wallets. How does a virtual asset wallet provider offering custodial wallet services operate in practice, particularly regarding the generation, custody, control of private keys on behalf of clients? Do clients walk to providers as they do in traditional banking settings?
So for custodian, there is no like one answer for every provider. There are plenty of different providers that are using like different solution. Some of them are more serious than others because, as you can see, there are often hacks in the field.
Yeah.
It really depends. I can say that sometimes like big exchanges still use like hardware wallet, and I think it's not good practice because hardware wallets are for retail. They are not designed for securing the funds of all the exchanges. So again, there is no one solution fit all. There are different companies that are using different setup, different solutions, and different governance protocol internally. And what I saw, at least like with the time going on, is that the general level of security is increasing. But I think for some actors, they should continue to get better. For instance, Bybit was a good example. They got hacked. They were using Safe, which is not really like an enterprise solution. So I think like the ecosystem is progressing, but there are still room for improvement in this area, I
Yeah.
think.
It's good and reassuring to hear that there's been progress made on, the level of security. Amy asks on attacks and threats. Over the past year, we've witnessed major cyber attacks targeting hot wallets. When incidents of this scale occur, what steps can be taken to maximize the chances of recovering lost assets? And I like this approach because it talks about the idea of, okay, inevitably things are going to go wrong. What mechanisms can we put in place to make sure that users become whole?
Yeah, I prefer like preventing such event rather than trying to mitigate the impact. And this is what we are doing at Ledger, like creating the tools in order to prevent such event to happen. However, these events happen, and the industry like organized itself, and now like the industry is far better at freezing funds, because the blockchain is immutable, it's permissionless, so you cannot like call Vitalik or call whoever to stop the blockchain. It doesn't work like this. So whenever the attackers have your funds, then they can do whatever they want on the blockchain. However, as soon as they want to launder them, it's things are getting like really more difficult. And also, if as soon as they want to like go out of the blockchain ecosystem using exchanges, then they will be stuck. So this is what we are seeing these days when there are like major hacks, like the attackers are trying to like launder the funds or move them away from the blockchain using exchanges. And very quickly, like the funds are frozen at the exchanges level, at the centralized entity level, and it minimizes the impact of the hack. However, what we see is that like we are seeing like nation state, especially like North Korea, like developing like big capabilities in doing such hacks. Like for instance, Bybit was done by Lazarus Group, which is a North Korean nation state attacker. And the guy in North Korea, the Lazarus guys and these guys are quite good at laundering money, but still it's not easy. Like if you are not a nation state attacker, it's far more difficult to launder blockchain money.
Yeah, and you're right. And to this point, this exploit was through some JavaScript compromise. And Diego is asking whether this means that the security of the interface, i.e., the web app, is now a critical weak point that we need to look towards. And on top of that, he also ties this into wallet, to web extension wallets, and asks if sandboxing would be a method to sort of mitigate those threats.
And maybe can I add, based on this, I find the Bybit hack very, very interesting because it was very, very complex. It combined, social engineering as well. And you talked about the risks of the interface being, the cause of the incident. You showed us, for example, the device that you worked on where it has a screen attached. And do you think that plays a major role? I think this ties it back together.
Yeah, totally. So plenty of questions in this one. Maybe starting with extensions. I really don't like the threat model of extensions, like browser extensions. For those who are not aware of it, like an extension that is running on your browser can do everything on the page that you see. Like it can see everything and send the data anywhere. It can also modify everything that you see on the page. This is like the threat model of extensions, and extension can see every single tab of your browser. So the security model of extension is not really good, I think. So when you are installing an extension, you must be aware that this extension can spy everything you do, but also can modify what you see. So this is just like something I wanted to highlight. Back to the interface of your wallet. So again, definitely agree with what you said. We cannot trust these interfaces, and that's the very reason why we have created hardware wallet with a screen in order to like avoid trusting this interface, because again, you might think you are about to sign a transaction that consists in like moving 1 ETH from the cold wallet to the hot wallet. This is what Bybit thought they were doing, while they were simply signing away all their assets. And if you can't verify this information on a secure device, then you have this issue. Back to Gnosis Safe. So Gnosis Safe was not supported like 1 year ago, and now it was a blind side on device, and now we have created a product that's called Ledger Multisig. So you go on multisig.ledger.com, and there is an interface on top of Safe that allows you to like manage your safe securely. But you don't have to trust it because everything is clear signed on device. So as soon as you will do like an operation on the Ledger Multisig, you will be prompted on the device, and on the device you can verify like what kind of operation you're about to consent. So basically, if Bybit has used Ledger Multisig 1 year ago, they wouldn't have lost $1.4 billion.
That makes a lot of sense. Peter's question is quite similar to the previous one. So in the interest of time, we're going to move on to the question by Obafemi. Obafemi asks, from a real world perspective, what is currently the biggest security risk for everyday wallet users? But perhaps that can be browser extensions. And what habit would reduce that risk? And we also have a follow-up on account abstraction, how much and how it changes the traditional security model for private keys, and do they meaningfully improve both usability and privacy?
So we can talk about this complex exploit as Bybits and so on. But at the end, like in the real world perspective for everyday users, the biggest threat is the user himself, like the fact that he doesn't really understand everything in the blockchain ecosystem. And I think one of the biggest threat vector that we see today is like really like social engineering, phishing attacks. The attackers are simply tricking the users into either giving their 24 hours or tricking them into signing malicious transactions. So this is really what we see. So I can explain plenty of complex attacks and so on, but at the end, like most users, like for the users that are losing funds, in most of the case, they were tricked into like giving their 24 hours. So for instance, they install a wrong version of a wallet, and they think and they input their 24 hours inside this wallet. The wallet is malicious, and then the 24 hours are sent to the attacker. Or the user is simply taking a photo of his 24 hours. Then there is a malware on his mobile phone. The 24 hours are sent to the attacker. Or the attacker is promising like a big gain, like you just have to mint this NFT or whatever, and you will win $1 million or this kind of thing. And some users are tricked. They are signing a malicious transaction without verifying anything, and then they lose access to their funds. So basically, this is really the main threat that we are seeing today, and the one that we must pay attention at. And for this, again, like having a clear backup strategy, never input your 24 words anywhere apart from on your device. Like if your device is reset, then you can input your 24 hours on your Ledger device. And the second one is to clear sign every single transaction. Like if you have a doubt, if you are prompted to blind sign, then you might not want to sign this transaction. And I explained earlier how to clear sign transaction on Ledger devices.
Yeah, I mean the social engineering aspect is very important, especially with deep fakes and AI. I've had a friend call the other day, and these are people who are adept with technology that fell for some online ad that was impersonating a celebrity. And I'm sure you've heard of similar cases too. So users need to exercise extreme caution, just to echo what you just said. We have a few rapid fire questions from Gabriela, which we're gonna answer briefly. 4 of them: is it ever safe to store recovery phase digitally? What is the biggest real world risk to hardware wallet users? Does using a hardware wallet eliminate phishing risk? And what are the most common causes of private key compromise? Some of which we went over, so rapid fire answers are acceptable here.
Yeah, sure. So not safe to store your recovery phrase digitally. I said it several times already. Biggest real world risk to hardware wallet users is what I said, like phishing attack, social engineering, inputting your 24 words in a malicious website, or signing malicious transaction, this kind of thing. Does using hardware wallet eliminate phishing risk? Unfortunately not. It mitigates some of them, but at the end, like the user is in control, so the user must pay attention to what he does. Otherwise, he will get phished. And what are the most common causes of private key compromise? The most common is really like a website that pretend to be like a ledger for in the case of ledger, like pretending to be a ledger website and asking you for your 24 words. You don't pay attention, you input your 24 words and you lose your money. This is some stuff that we are seeing, unfortunately.
Yeah. We have a question from Steven. Steven asks, is there a solution in place for a digital wallet, what you call a signer, in case the physical object is lost or stolen? And he suggests some solutions. Let me start by saying here that, to clarify for Stephen, that you should never rely on your signer to be your backup, right?
Exactly.
You should have separate backups. And the good rule here, a good rule of thumb here is the 3-2-1 scheme. So 3 backups, 2 different media, 1 off-site. And I'll let Charles also talk about ledger recovery, which is another way that you can go about securing your set. So Charles, back to you.
You said it all. Like the good practices are the one you mentioned, and as I said, we are offering like different options to define your backup strategy, which is like the recovery sheet, the crypto steel, the recovery key that is the NFC card that you tap on the device, and ledger recover. And then it's up to you to combine them depending on your peace of mind, depending on your threat model, depending on all of this.
Yeah. So Basilio asks a question that, nobody likes to think about, but we all have to eventually. While social recovery effectively addresses the issue of lost keys through a group of guardians, how does the protocol account for legal succession? Right. So, from a legal standpoint, in the event of a user's passing, could guardians be legally compelled to act, or should the protocol incorporate inactivity clauses to automate the transfer or recovery of power to heirs? So, let's start with that. I mean, obviously, this is a huge issue. I don't think it is a solved issue. Crypto users are overwhelmingly younger in age, but it is something I think about for the day where I eventually get hit by a bus. I mean, how do you explain to my mother what, all these things are? So I'll leave it up to you.
So definitely like having like an inheritance strategy, I think is important. I mentioned like a possibility earlier, like you can create a backup on a recovery key card and write down your like PIN code on your will at the notary. You can also put your 24 hours in a safe in the banks and like mention it on your will. So there are different ways to do that. For social recovery and their legal effects, to be honest, I'm not a lawyer, and I think like most lawyers don't even know how legal it is. And I think also it really depends on the country where you live. So if you want to organize your inheritance and while using social recovery, you probably should take an advice from a lawyer that knows this topic well. But to be honest, I don't. I know the technicalities, but I don't know the legal implication.
Yeah, I just want to mention here for anyone thinking about it that there are companies that offer such products. One reputable company, of course, we're not endorsing anyone here, is Casa, CASA.io. I've never used them in the past, but it is the company that's top of mind when it comes to inheritance. I know that Andreas Antonopoulos, with whom we've worked together in the past, has a course on inheritance and planning inheritance, as well as some YouTube videos online. So for anyone thinking about those sorts of topics, I would start there and consult with a very good lawyer. None of us is one. So I'll move on to air-gapped wallets. Air-gapped wallets are considered the gold standard for deep cold storage. Well, I'm not sure if this is universally accepted, but they're definitely not too bad. They're less convenient for everyday use. That is correct. Considering the blockchain trilemma, there seems to be a user trilemma between security, convenience, and sovereignty. That is correct. For global mass adoption, are air-gapped solutions the end game or just a temporary measure until account abstraction makes hot wallet as secure as cold ones? And to give you some perspective on that, Charles, some background on that, we had a tutorial where we even set up an air-gapped wallet for students using cold card and signed the transaction completely offline, even instructed them about how they can go about generating seeds with entropy, with die or playing cards. So we went pretty deep. So that's where this question comes from.
Nice. I know very well NVK, and this is the CEO of Coldcard. And what I like with Coldcard is that if you spend time with using Coldcard, you will understand plenty of things on how Bitcoin works and entropy and so on. It's very less user convenient. Like the user experience is more complicated. But
it was a nightmare. Let me tell you, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, but you can learn plenty of things. This is what I like with Coldcard. So about like air-gapped, so I don't know what you have in mind when you say air-gapped, but for me, like as soon as you have like a separate device that is like specifically designed for being the wallet, then you have security. The air-gap thing, because at the end, like when you sign transaction, you need to get data from the internet and put the signed transaction on the internet. Then the question on how you connect like this device to the internet, whether it is like QR code with photos or SD card or USB or BLE, it's just a medium. For me, it doesn't really change anything in terms of security. So having a hardware signer is the best way, the most secure way to manage your crypto in sovereignty. And to the trilemma, I really like the trilemma that is mentioned. And maybe for sovereignty, what is behind is really like the trust assumption that you are putting into the wallet. For me, this is really what comes to my mind, because at the end, like when you own your secret, like you are in sovereignty and you don't need anyone to spend transaction. And then the question is like, how much do you need to trust like the actor in this journey to be sure that you are really sovereign? There is this trust assumption behind.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I mean, Basilio, as Charles said, very good with the trilemma. Extra credits for you. I don't know if you're in, I think you're in the chat. I looked up your name, so well done. So we have a few questions from Peter on monitoring sanctions AML. Let's start with the first one. From a digital forensics and blockchain analytics perspective, how are wallets addressed for illicit activity? I know there are a few companies, Chainalysis, for instance, stablecoin providers do their own due diligence. Entities such as Tether can notoriously freeze user accounts. Most centralized stablecoins can. To what extent do monitoring approaches rely on on-chain heuristics versus off-chain metadata such as IP addresses or exchange or KYC data? Now, I appreciate this is not exactly on wallet security, but hopefully we can give the students some information.
Yeah, no, definitely. So as you said, there are a couple of companies that are doing like this analysis, on-chain analysis, in order to to verify like what kind of illicit activity that could happen on chain. So first of all, there was very few like illicit activity on chain. Like some people like to mention them very often, but there was far more illicit activity with fiat than you have on crypto. So this is a first thing I want to mention. And for like a centralized entity, exchanges, custodian, and so on, they have like very strict rules regarding like anti-money laundering and so on. When it comes to like technology company, like technology providers such as Ledger, we don't have any requirement in terms of like collecting user data, user IP, and this kind of thing, and we don't do it. So we simply can't. However, we can have like a OFAC requirement. So for instance, you cannot use a Ledger wallet application if your wallet is sanctioned. So there is this kind of requirement that applies to us, but this is very minimal compared to what you can have when you are a financial institution such as an exchange.
Let's follow up on that with Peter's third question, which is how are cryptocurrency wallets designated or flagged in the context of sanctions? So what are the implications for custodial versus non-custodial? So let's say I understand that even if I'm a financing terrorist, if I'm a terrorist that wants to be financed, right, I can still get my hands on a ledger device, for instance.
Yep.
I can still go on blockchains because blockchains are agnostic to intentions for sending and receiving information. Where does Ledger come in and say, oh, we know you're doing illicit things, you've posted your address online, you are a sanctioned entity, we're going to shut you down. Where does Ledger come in?
So again, we are not deciding like which wallet is designated as or flagged as like illicit activity or so on. This is not something that we do. Like some third party are doing it. You mentioned Chainalysis, Elliptics, and others, and they are very good at like flagging such wallets. On our side, we can't block them at the hardware level. Like if you are using a Ledger device outside of Ledger Wallet, we don't know anything about what you do.
Yeah.
If you are doing it with a Ledger Wallet, our backend knows your addresses, and we can block some addresses. And this is what I was saying. We would block addresses that are sanctioned by the OFAC list and this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the fourth question then, in practice, how can individuals or small entities verify whether an address, whether this is associated with sanction list, the OFAC thing you just mentioned, I would assume.
I think that no, I'm sure that the OFAC sanction list is public, so you can access it. Also, when an address is associated with a scam or a hack and so on, you can go on Etherscan for EVM, and it will be written on Etherscan as well. So again, OFAC list is public, and Etherscan will mention the addresses associated with hacks and scams.
Okay. And there is also another question from an AML perspective. Can the use of multiple Bitcoin addresses functionally resemble layering techniques such as pill change or structuring behaviors? And if blockchain analytics differentiate between privacy enhancing address rotation that wallets may do automatically also, and illicit fragmentation strategies?
So I think I understand, like when you are using Bitcoin in particular, you have plenty of different addresses. You are not supposed to reuse the same addresses twice, and all your UTXO seems to be independent, and the analytics shouldn't be able to reconstruct your wallet. So this is in theory, but in practice, to be honest, I don't know how they do that, but they are quite good at reconstructing wallet, like the Chainalysis and the Elliptics and these guys. They are quite good at understanding like the logic and the structure of the wallet, even if you are using Bitcoin in a good way, as I mentioned, like with different addresses and so on. I don't know what are their heuristic, but I know they are quite efficient.
Yeah, thanks for this answer. And thank you, Peter, for those amazing questions. I can only hope that your interest is purely academic and you're not up to something involving terrorism or illicit activity. I'm joking, obviously.
Yeah, if you do that, like you must be aware that the elliptics and the chainalysis are very good at reconstructing wallets, so it will be difficult to hide.
We've covered a lot of ground today, Charles. I think we have addressed every single question that we and the students had. It has been amazing to have you on board and to torture you for an hour and a half. I want to thank, obviously, everyone in the team worked very hard to put this session together. I want to thank Andreas. I want to thank Apostolos. I want to thank Professor Iaglis. I want to thank Katerina and the team. I want to thank our students for submitting excellent questions. And I want to thank Ledger for supporting us and for partnering with us and for providing the signer you showed so many times throughout this live Q&A as a reward for top performing students as well as other students in the course. I'll pass it on to other members of the team if they want to mention anything, particularly to the professor who has worked with you from the start.
Just one more time, thank you very much, Charles, and thank you very much to Ledger. We really value the collaboration, the partnership, and we're looking forward to having you again in the future, because I'm sure that our students have appreciated this as much as we have. Thank you very much again.
Cool. Thank you guys for having me. That was really interesting, and there were plenty of very precise questions, so that was also very interesting for me.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Charles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Bye-bye, everyone. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Guys.
Bye.